You've been told a lie, a quiet and pervasive one that has shaped how you move through the world as a man. The lie is that your value is written on a price tag. You feel it in the weight of the dinner bill you slide across the table, in the unspoken pressure to choose the more expensive wine, in the grand gestures you plan, hoping they will translate into affection, into desire. You operate under the assumption that attraction is an economy of transactions. You provide, she receives, and in that exchange, a connection is supposed to bloom. But you've seen the truth in her eyes, haven't you? In that moment after you've paid for everything, when a strange and hollow silence settles between you. It's the paradox that haunts modern men. The more you try to buy her attention, the more you seem to devalue your own presence. She pulls away not because you offer too little, but because she fears the man behind the offer is lost. If this uncomfortable truth is already resonating with you, if you've ever felt that cold space open up right after a grand gesture, then subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share your own experience in the comments below. You are not alone in this confusion. The fundamental error you make is believing you are the customer in the marketplace of desire, trying to purchase her loyalty. The reality is that you are the product. She is not subconsciously evaluating what you can buy for her. She is evaluating the man who sits before her. Every attempt to impress her with your wallet sends a subtle yet powerful signal of insecurity. It's a silent admission that you believe your presence alone is not enough. This is the lie that keeps you in a state of performance, a never-ending audition where you fear that one wrong move, one financial downturn, will be the end of her affection. It's an exhausting way to live. You see it in the small things. You present her with a gift, something you put thought and money into. You watch her face, not for her joy, but for her approval. You're looking for a sign that you've succeeded, that you've secured your place for another day. She smiles, she thanks you, but her body language tells a different story. Her shoulders are slightly tense, her eyes scan your face, not the gift. She isn't assessing the value of the object, she's assessing the stability of the man giving it. She feels your need for validation like a change in the air pressure. What she craves is the security of a man who needs nothing from her in that moment. No thanks, no validation, no applause. She desires the man whose gift is an afterthought of his abundance, not the centerpiece of his strategy for love. Your neediness poisons the offering, turning a potential connection into a quiet transaction. This leads to the most critical misunderstanding of all. You mistake her emotional distance for a lack of interest, when in fact, it is a subconscious test of your internal foundation. Her silence is not an absence of feeling. It is an invitation for you to demonstrate your strength. Can you sit in that quiet space with her and not crumble? Can you hold your ground without needing to fill the void with nervous chatter, with more plans, with more promises of things you can buy? Most men fail this test. They panic, they chase, they overcompensate, confirming her deepest fear that beneath the surface of the provider there is a boy desperate for approval. She doesn't want your money. She is drawn to 4 pillars of character that money can never purchase. These are the currencies of the masculine soul, and understanding them will change the very way she looks at you, the way she feels you, and the way she desires you. The moment she pulls away, your mind ignites with a single flawed belief. It's a lie whispered by 1,000 anxieties. I'm losing her. You feel it as a physical drop in your stomach. Her texts become shorter, the warmth in her voice cools, and a new silent space opens up between you. Your instinct, honed by a lifetime of misunderstanding, screams that you have failed. You believe her interest is a fragile currency that you've somehow devalued, and a primal panic sets in. This is the critical error. The moment you surrender your power, you cease to be the man she was drawn to, the calm, centered presence, and become a frantic problem solver. You see her distance not as a natural emotional current, but as a direct reflection of your inadequacy. In that instant, you are no longer the anchor. You are the ship being tossed in her storm, and you have already lost the battle. This panic triggers the chase. It's an almost uncontrollable impulse. You start texting more, calling more often, your words laced with a subtle insecurity she can feel across any distance. You ask, is everything okay? A question that really means, are times we times okay? Do you still approve of me? You plan a lavish dinner, you buy flowers, you offer a weekend trip, doubling down on the very transactional behavior that created the emotional void in the first place. You are trying to apply force to a delicate emotional ecosystem. You see her affection as a puzzle to be solved with more effort, more money, more attention. But she doesn't feel this as love. She feels it as pressure, as a heavy blanket of your neediness. Each grand gesture is not a gift. It's a desperate plea for reassurance, confirming her deepest fear that your stability is built not on rock, but on her shifting validation. You fundamentally misread her silence. When she says, I just need some space, you hear it as a final verdict, a polite rejection that signals the end. You fail to understand that her withdrawal is often not a closing door, but a subconscious test. The feminine essence within her is asking a silent, critical question. Are you the man I think you are? Are you solid? When the weather of my emotions changes, will you remain the mountain or will you crumble into dust? She needs to know on a primal level that your emotional center is anchored within yourself, not within her. Your panicked pursuit, your desperate attempts to fix the situation, provide her with a loud and definitive answer. You show her that your peace is entirely dependent on her presence, and in doing so, you fail the very test you never knew you were taking. This failure locks you into a vicious, exhausting cycle of performance. You start analyzing your past actions like a detective searching for a clue to a crime. Should you have bought the more expensive wine? Was the gift not impressive enough? Your mind transforms into a frantic accountant trying to find the transactional error that led to this emotional deficit. You solidify the lie that your worth is measured by what you do, not by who you are. This relentless need to prove yourself hollows you out, turning you into a performer instead of a partner. You forget that the true currency she desires is your unwavering presence, your calm, your deep and unshakable self-respect. You become so focused on the script of providing and impressing that you lose the very essence of the character she was drawn to in the first place. Now, imagine a different reality. She pulls away, her energy shifts, and you do nothing. You don't chase, you don't probe with anxious questions. You don't fill the silence with desperate chatter. You simply allow the space to exist. This isn't a game of feigned indifference. It is the quiet, powerful demonstration of genuine self-possession. Your silence isn't empty, it's full. It's full of your own life, your own purpose, your own unwavering mission. It sends a message far more potent than any gift ever could. My world continues to turn. My foundation is not shaken by your storm. I am here, solid and whole. This calm is not a tactic, it is a state of being, and it is the most magnetic force you can possibly wield, because it is the very anchor her soul has been searching for. Tell me if you felt this shift before. When you stop the chase, the entire dynamic inverts. You create an emotional vacuum that she, not you, feels compelled to fill. Without the constant pressure of your neediness, she is left alone with her own feelings. She is given the space to feel your absence, to miss your presence, not your provision. Her mind begins to churn. Why isn't he panicking? Why isn't he chasing? Those questions soon dissolve into a profound and attractive realization. He must be so sure of himself. He must be truly strong. Suddenly, a text appears from her. Hey, it's a small word, but it carries the weight of a monumental shift. She is the one closing the distance now. You realize the lie was a cage, and by refusing to chase, you have finally found the key. Her distance was never a statement, it was a question. And your calm, your presence, was the only answer she ever needed. The hidden truth is that she is not testing your bank account, she is testing your spirit. Her withdrawal, her silence, her sudden emotional shifts are not a referendum on your financial worth. They are a deep primal audit of your character. A woman's soul is a landscape of changing weather, and she is subconsciously searching for a mountain. She needs to know if you are the unshakable peak that can withstand her storms, or if you are just a pile of sand that will wash away with the first rain. This is the secret mechanism of feminine attraction, and it has nothing to do with what you can buy her. It is about what you are made of. There are 4 pillars of a man's character that she values more than any currency, pillars that build a foundation of desire so profound that money becomes an irrelevant afterthought. Understanding them is not a tactic, it is a transformation. The first pillar is emotional stability. This is the calm at the eye of her hurricane. When she grows distant or her mood darkens, she is subconsciously sending out a tremor to feel the stability of your ground. The man who panics, who floods her phone with anxious texts asking what's wrong, has failed the test before it has even truly begun. He has shown her that his peace is a fragile thing, entirely dependent on her approval. The man who remains centered, who continues on his own path without being emotionally thrown, communicates a silent, powerful message. My world does not crumble when you are upset. I am the anchor. This calm is not indifference. It is a presence so solid that it gives her the safety to feel her own chaotic emotions without fearing that she will overwhelm you or destroy the connection. He is the mountain, she is the weather. This need for your emotional stability is rooted in the deepest, most ancient part of her biology. She is wired to seek safety, not just for herself, but for the world she might one day build. A man who is easily rattled by her emotional state is a man who cannot be trusted in a genuine crisis. His reactivity is a signal of weakness, a crack in the foundation that her instincts will register with alarming clarity. Conversely, your ability to absorb her emotional energy without reacting, to listen to her fears without making them your own, to simply hold space for her storm to pass, is the ultimate demonstration of masculine strength. It tells her, on a level beyond words, that you are a safe harbor. This feeling of safety is the fertile ground from which all genuine, lasting desire grows. You don't create it with dinners, you create it with your stillness. The second pillar is an unwavering purpose. A woman is deeply, almost hypnotically, drawn to a man who is on a mission, a man whose life has a direction and a velocity that exists independently of her. Your purpose, whether it's your career, your art, your personal quest, is the spine of your masculine identity. It is the track on which your life runs. When she meets you, she is subconsciously asking, where is this train going? If you are willing to derail your entire life just to please her, to drop your mission, to make her the mission, she will not feel flattered. She will feel terrified. She will see a man without a spine, a man without a destination, and no woman wants to board a train that is heading nowhere, even if the conductor promises her the world. She doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to join you in yours. The man who makes a woman his entire world soon finds that he has lost both. He thinks his constant availability is a sign of devotion, but she experiences it as a lack of personal substance. It sends a silent, unsettling message. Without you, I am nothing. This pressure is immense. It forces her into the role of being the sole source of his happiness and validation, a burden no woman wants to carry. The man who is on his path, however, offers her an invitation instead of an obligation. He is moving forward, with or without her. His life is already a compelling story, and she has the opportunity to become a character in it. This is infinitely more attractive. His purpose creates a gravitational field, pulling her into his orbit, not through neediness, but through the sheer force of his own compelling journey. The third pillar is impenetrable self-respect, which is demonstrated through your boundaries. This is your quiet ability to say no, not with anger or ultimatums, but with the calm certainty of a man who knows his own value. When she is late without a word, when she is disrespectful, when she plays games with your attention, the weak man either tolerates it or explodes. The strong man simply withdraws. He doesn't argue or lecture. He lets her feel the consequence of her actions through the sudden absence of his warm, focused presence. His attention is a valuable resource, and he does not offer it to those who treat it cheaply. This communicates more powerfully than any confrontation that he respects himself too much to allow disrespect from others. It creates a magnetic and profound sense of respect in her, because she sees you respect yourself first. The fourth pillar, and perhaps the most powerful, is mysterious depth. This is the art of strategic silence, the understanding that you should not be an open book. Many men make the mistake of believing that total transparency creates intimacy. They spill their every fear, insecurity, and doubt, hoping it will bring her closer. Instead, it destroys all polarity. Predictability is the enemy of attraction. When you maintain a part of your inner world that is yours and yours alone, you create a space for her imagination to work. She begins to wonder, what is he thinking? What drives him? Who is he really when he is alone? This isn't about playing games or being dishonest. It is about having a rich, complex inner life that she is not fully privy to. You have your own thoughts, your own code, your own private world. This element of mystery turns you from a simple story into an epic novel. She wants to keep turning the pages. Your quiet depth makes her an active participant in the act of attraction. Her mind begins to fill in the gaps, often creating a narrative about you that is far more powerful and romantic than anything you could ever tell her yourself. You become a landscape to be explored, not a map that has been handed to her. The man who explains everything about himself, who lays all his vulnerabilities bare too soon, is a man who has already shown her the end of the story. But the man who holds a part of himself in reserve, who is a man of substance and quiet contemplation, becomes an adventure. And that is an invitation that her feminine soul will find impossible to resist. Comment what you now see in her that you couldn't before. So the storm arrives. Her energy shifts, the warmth recedes, and a wall of silence rises between you. The average man, the man who believes the lie, immediately panics. His mind floods with 1,000 anxious calculations. What did I do wrong? What does she want? He sees her emotional distance as a problem to be solved, a fire to be extinguished. His reaction is immediate and desperate. He leans in, bombarding her with questions, offering solutions, smothering the space with his need for resolution. He tries to grasp the water of her mood, and it slips through his fingers, leaving him feeling more powerless than before. The man who understands, however, does the opposite. He doesn't react. He observes. He feels the temperature drop, he notes the silence, and he simply allows it to be. His calm is not a strategy. It is a statement of his own internal weather, which remains unchanged by her passing clouds. This stillness is where the true power resides. You've felt this, haven't you? That instinct to fill the void, to fix the unease. The centered man resists this urge. He understands that her silence is a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. By refusing to fill it with his own anxiety, he creates a space that she must confront herself. He continues with his task, reads his book, or simply sits in that quiet, holding his own frame. His presence becomes a mirror. Without his panicked energy to react against, she is left alone with the source of her own emotional storm. He is not ignoring her. He is giving her the profound respect of trusting her to navigate her own feelings. This silent demonstration of control sends a primal signal to her deepest instincts. This man is a rock. This man is safe. He doesn't get swept away by the tide. Then comes the test, because there is always a test. It might be a subtle, passive-aggressive comment or a question designed to provoke a reaction. You seem distant tonight, she might say, baiting the hook. The common man will immediately become defensive or apologetic, scrambling to explain himself and prove his devotion. He bites the hook every single time. But the grounded man sees the lure for what it is. He doesn't engage the drama. He might meet her gaze with a calm, almost imperceptible smile and say, "I'm right here." He doesn't defend, He doesn't explain, he doesn't justify, he simply is. As Alan Watts might suggest, you can't get caught in a game you refuse to play. By not reacting to the provocation, he communicates that he is the source of his own validation, and his emotional state is not up for debate or negotiation. He is the mountain, unmoved by the wind. This is the fundamental shift from reaction to response. A reaction is instinctual, born of fear. A response is conscious, born of presence. When her behavior becomes disrespectful or chaotic, the ideal masculine response is not anger or pleading, but a simple withdrawal of attention. It's not a punishment. It is a natural consequence. You calmly turn your focus back to your purpose, your work, your mission, your own inner world. You are not storming out of the room in a theatrical display. You are simply redirecting your energy from a source of chaos to a source of order within yourself. This sends the most powerful message possible. My peace and my purpose are more important than your drama. You are welcome in my world, but you will not be the center of it. This isn't about abandoning her. It's about refusing to abandon yourself. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. And then the magic happens. The dynamic inverts. In the space created by your calm and your unwavering presence, she begins to feel your absence. Without your anxious energy chasing her, she is forced to feel the full weight of her own emotions and the consequences of her action. Her subconscious mind, which was testing your foundation, gets a clear and resounding answer. You are solid. You are unshakable. Suddenly, her storm doesn't seem so powerful anymore. In fact, it starts to feel a little lonely. The need for connection, which was hidden beneath the test, now rises to the surface. Her energy softens. She is the one who closes the distance now, not with a test, but with a genuine bid for connection. She moves toward your warmth because she knows it is a fire that burns on its own, not one that needs her constant validation to stay lit. The ideal reaction, then, is a form of non-action. It is the wisdom of letting things be, of understanding that you cannot control the weather of another person's soul. You can only control your own foundation. You do not attract a woman by chasing her when she pulls away. You attract her by becoming so deeply rooted in your own being that your stillness becomes a gravitational force. Your calm is the prize. Your presence is the gift. She doesn't fall in love with the man who panics when she is chaotic. She falls in love with the man whose peace is so profound that it brings her chaos to rest. You don't need to buy her anything, because you have finally become the safe harbor she was always searching for. This is not a game of power over her. It is the quiet, beautiful practice of power over yourself. And so you arrive at the great and silent turning point. The entire struggle, the exhausting performance of providing and pleasing was never about her. It was about you. You were at war not with her moods, but with your own internal emptiness, which you desperately tried to fill with her validation. You thought the four pillars, stability, purpose, self-respect, and depth, were keys to unlock her desire. But you see the truth now. They are not keys to her heart. They are the blueprints for your own soul. The final transformation occurs when you stop using this knowledge as a strategy to win her and begin living it as the very definition of who you are. The game doesn't end when you win. The game ends when you realize your own presence is the only prize worth having, and you were the one keeping it from yourself all along. This is the quiet freedom you were always seeking. We can now return to where we began, but see it with new eyes. She pulls away not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much. Before, you heard that as a confusing riddle. Now, you understand it as a simple truth. She was feeling the full, crushing weight of your neediness. She was feeling the tremor of your unstable foundation, the silent plea for her to be the center of your universe, a job she never wanted and is not equipped to handle. Her distance was never a rejection of you. It was an instinctual retreat from the chaos of a man who had abandoned his own center. She was not running from your love, but from the terrifying responsibility of being your source of peace. When you become your own source, her retreat is no longer necessary. She can finally move toward you, not out of duty, but out of pure, unburdened desire. This is where the chase finally dies. It dies not because you have captured her, but because you have anchored yourself. You finally understand on a cellular level that she doesn't want your explanation, she wants your stability. She doesn't need your promises of a future you can buy. She needs the undeniable reality of your presence in this moment. Every test she ever threw your way, every storm of emotion, was a subconscious search for this one thing, the man who would not be moved, the man who is the mountain. When you become this man, her tests cease, because the question has been answered. You don't attract her by reacting perfectly. You attract her by making a reaction unnecessary. Your calm becomes the atmosphere she breathes, and in that air, all games suffocate and die. Look at her now, not as a puzzle to be solved or a prize to be won, but as the weather passing over your landscape. Can you feel the difference? The shift from anxious calculation to quiet observation is the final step into your power. You no longer seek to control the storm. You have become the harbor. Your value is not in your wallet, it is in your stillness. It is not in what you can offer her, but in what you refuse to surrender within yourself. The pursuit of her has ended because the journey back to yourself is complete. And in a beautiful final paradox, it is only when you stop needing her to stay that she finds it impossible to leave. This is not a tactic. This is the natural order of things when a man finally, truly, comes home to himself.